Welcome back to the Florida Veterans Real Estate Podcast. I'm Darian's avatar, and today we are executing the single most important mission in the Veteran Wealth Playbook, turning your first home into your first rental property. This is how you take your most valuable military acronym, PCS, and transform it into PROFIT. Here's the grim reality. Most veterans sell their first home when they PCS. They walk away with a check for 50 grand, maybe 75, and think they won, but that's a rookie mistake. That check is just one-time cash. What you're walking away from is an asset that could pay you passive income for the next 30 years. You are forfeiting the right to generational wealth for a short-term cash injection. We don't do short-term cash plays. We build dynasties. The core military benefit that allows you to escape this trap is entitlement restoration. If you've ever used your VA loan, even once, a portion of your benefit is tied up. It's like a locked gear in the transmission. Until you unlock that gear, you can't shift into the next phase of home ownership. You're driving a Honda Civic when you could be piloting a battle tank. This episode is your field manual on how to unlock and reuse your VA loan benefits multiple times. We're going to cover the 3 non-negotiable restoration methods, the paperwork you need, and most critically, the one-time restoration secret that lets you keep your first Florida home as a rental and buy your second home with zero down. This isn't just about moving. This is about deploying your financial assets for a tactical advantage. Today, you will learn the exact sequence for restoring full entitlement after a sale, the 2 types of restoration and why one is a one-time financial nuclear option, the partial entitlement trap and when you must make a down payment, the 60-day clock, why every moment counts when transitioning from primary residence to rental. This is the bridge between home ownership and real estate investing. If you are active duty, if you are a reservist, if you are a veteran considering that next duty station or retirement in Florida, this is mandatory listening. This is the PCS to Profit Playbook. Let's start the mission brief. The biggest myth I hear from veterans is this: I used my VA loan in Texas, so I'm done. I have to use a conventional loan in Florida. False. That is the sound of an amateur loan officer or realtor giving you bad intel. Your VA loan benefit is not a one-time use rocket launcher. It is a reusable platform. The challenge is not eligibility. The challenge is entitlement. What is entitlement? Think of it like a safety guarantee. The VA promises the lender that if you default, they will pay back a certain percentage of the loan. This is what allows the lender to offer you that sweet zero down, no PMI loan. This guarantee, your entitlement, is what gets tied up when you close on the first home. When you go to buy your second home, your certificate of eligibility, your COE, shows that you have already used a portion of that entitlement. This used entitlement is called basic entitlement. If you don't get it restored, your remaining entitlement, called second tier or bonus entitlement, might not be enough to cover the new loan amount without you having to make a down payment, and making a down payment goes against our entire wealth building strategy. Our mission is to keep your cash liquid for the next deal. The system is designed to reward the disciplined, informed veteran. The VA wants you to reuse the benefit, but they require proof that you have either A, cleared the debt from the first loan, or B, paid off the debt and are using a specific lifetime exception. This is why understanding the 3 pathways to restoration is your top priority before you even look at a single piece of Florida land. If you assume your eligibility is automatically restored after a PCS, you will show up to the closing table with partial entitlement and be forced into a down payment that is mission failure. We are planning and coordinating for full entitlement restoration, ensuring your next Florida spec home purchase requires exactly zero down, just like the first one. This is non-negotiable for building multi-property equity. There are 3 and only 3 ways to fully restore your entitlement. You need to know these cold because the timing of each choice impacts your next move. Pillar 1, the tactical retreat, sell, and pay off. This is the most common, most straightforward, and fastest path to full restoration. 1. The action: you sell your home, and the proceeds from the sale are used to pay off the entire VA loan balance. 2. The mechanism: once your lender notifies the VA that the loan is paid in full, your entitlement is freed up. 3. The timeline. This is key. While the process can sometimes take the lender and the VA up to 4 to 6 weeks to process the paperwork, the actual entitlement restoration is often just 1 to 5 business days after the closing documents, specifically the closing disclosure, or CD, are submitted to the VA. A savvy VA specialized lender can expedite this electronically using the VA's ACE system, often cutting the time down to hours or a day. The trap here is closing on a Friday. If the paperwork is delayed, you might not get your COE update until the following week. Always aim for a Monday or Tuesday closing on your sale if you need that COE immediately for your new Florida purchase. Full restoration equals full borrowing power with zero down. Pillar 2. Substitution of entitlement, the assumption. This is rare, complex, but highly valuable if executed correctly. 1. The action: you allow a qualified, eligible veteran to assume your VA loan. 2. The mechanism: the new veteran buyer agrees to use their entitlement to cover the portion you originally used. The VA shifts the guarantee, thus freeing up your entitlement. 3. The caveat: this requires significant paperwork and time. The new borrower must qualify with your lender and must be a VA-eligible veteran willing to use their benefit. This is often only successful in sellers' markets or for very low interest rate loans. But if you pull it off, you save the cost of a sale, i.e. commissions and such. Pillar 3. The one-time restoration, the investor's secret weapon. This is the strategy that turns primary residence ownership into investing. 1. The action: you pay off the original VA loan in full, but keep the property and convert it to a rental. 2. The mechanism: the VA allows you to restore your full entitlement one time in your life, even if you still own the house. You must apply for this manually. VA Form 26-1880. 3. The strategic advantage. This is how you implement the stepping stone strategy. You keep your first home, let it appreciate, let the rent pay the mortgage, which must be refinanced into a conventional or paid off, and then you use your full VA entitlement again to buy your new Florida spec home with zero down. This is the only way to have your cake and eat it too. You leverage one loan into two assets. This is the definition of generational wealth creation. But remember, it is a one-time only card. Play it strategically, preferably on your highest appreciation asset. The Florida market adds a layer of time pressure to your entitlement restoration mission, especially if you are active duty executing a PCS. You have two critical time constraints that must be managed simultaneously. Constraint 1, the VA occupancy rule, the 12-month checkpoint. The VA requires you to move into the home within 60 days of closing and typically expects you to occupy it as your primary residence for at least 12 months. If you receive PCS orders before that 12-month mark, the VA will usually allow you to rent the property out because the move is a documented, unavoidable circumstance. This is your tactical advantage. You need to 1. Establish intent. Your original loan documents must reflect that you intended to live there. 2. Document everything. Keep your PCS orders, your official memos, and any correspondence related to the move. This protects you from any future audit, showing the change of occupancy was mandatory, not a scam to buy an investment property. If you are a veteran and not PCSing, most lenders will still require you to live there for a minimum of 12 months before you convert it to a rental. Do not violate the 12-month rule just to jump into investing. It jeopardizes your loan and your future VA benefits. Patience is a key component of this strategy. Constraint 2, the rental income documentation. If you plan to use the rental income from your old home to help you qualify for the new Florida mortgage, the bank will require proof that the old house is financially viable. What does your lease agreement look like? You must have a fully executed lease agreement on the old property. The longer, the better. Who's doing the property management? If you are PCSing out of state, the lender may require a property management agreement to prove you have a professional managing the asset. If it's you, make sure you have provable systems in place. We aren't just talking late fees. Think about tenant screening maintenance. Now let's talk about the 75% rule. Lenders will only count 75% of the gross monthly rent toward your income. The remaining 25% is a buffer for vacancies, repairs, and maintenance. This is the haircut. You must factor this into your qualification math. If the rent is $2,000, only $1,500 helps your debt-to-income DTI ratio. Your Florida spec home realtor and your VA lender must be working together months in advance to ensure the sale, rental of the first home, the restoration of entitlement, and the qualification for the second home all line up. If you are PCSing to a major Florida base like NAS, Jacksonville, MacDill, or Eglin, you have a concentrated target of rental demand, making this strategy highly effective here. Now let's talk about the danger zone. Partial entitlement. This is what happens if you try to buy a second home without fully restoring your entitlement. The biggest benefit of the VA loan reform in 2020 was the elimination of most VA loan limits for veterans with full entitlement. This means if you have full entitlement, you can borrow $600,000, $800,000, or even $1 million in Florida with no down payment, provided the lender approves you. The partial entitlement trap. If you keep your first VA-backed home and do not use the one-time restoration secret, you are left with partial entitlement, also called second-tier or bonus entitlement. First, the calculation. The VA still guarantees 25% of the county's conforming loan limit. You must subtract the entitlement used on your first home from that 25% maximum point. 2. The down payment. If the loan amount on your new Florida home exceeds your remaining entitlement, the lender will require you to make a down payment to cover 25% of the difference. While this is still a powerful leverage play, our mission is zero down. You must prioritize full restoration unless you have a strategic reason, like keeping an ultra-low rate on your first property, to accept the partial entitlement path and a potential down payment. The one-time restoration is the cheat code here. By paying off the first VA loan via cash-out refi to a conventional loan or simply paying off the balance, and then using that one-time restoration, you regain your full entitlement and get to buy that $1 million Florida property with zero down, all while the first property is generating rental cash flow point. This is the stepping stone strategy in its ultimate form. No down payment, 2 assets, instant portfolio. This is not a benefit for the average civilian. This is your earned military advantage. Knowledge without protection is still a liability. Here is where most veterans fail the entitlement restoration mission due to poor planning or bad advice. We are putting up the force protection against these common failures. Failure 1. Assuming automatic restoration. As noted, restoration is not automatic. If you sell your house, you must ensure your lender submits the required paperwork to the VA point. The key document is the VA Form 26-1880. This form is the official request for restoration. The veteran or their lender must check the correct box in Section 3, Information regarding previous VA loans, point. If you rely on your old lender to do this weeks after closing, you risk delays. Demand a copy of the closing disclosure and proactively send it to your new VA lender in Florida. They should handle the submission to the VA's ACE system immediately. Failure 3. The one-time restoration miscalculation. Remember, the one-time restoration is for life. Do not use it on a small, low-value property if you anticipate buying a significantly more expensive property later point. For example, don't use it on a $150,000 starter home if your 5-year goal is a $750,000 executive home in a prime Florida market point. Save that one-time power for the big win. If you have any doubt, use the simpler sell and payoff method. Failure 4. Not vetting your lender. Most critical, a non-specialized lender will not know the intricate rules of partial entitlement. They will simply see you have a used benefit and tell you, incorrectly, that you must make a 25% down payment on the entire new loan amount, which is often false. A VA specialist knows the second-tier entitlement calculations and can get you approved with zero down even if you have partial entitlement, provided the loan amount falls within certain thresholds. Never trust an amateur with your entitlement mission. The stakes are too high. That concludes our mission brief on VA entitlement restoration. Here's the after-action report. PCS is not an exit strategy, it's an opportunity. Your goal should be to keep that first VA-backed property as a rental asset point. The one-time restoration is your ultimate financial tool. Use it to pay off the first loan, refinance to conventional, or pay with cash, and buy the second Florida home with zero down and full entitlement. Time is a weapon. Coordinate the closing of your sale rental with the COE update meticulously. Do not close on a Friday if you need speed point. Partial entitlement is manageable, but might require a down payment if the new loan exceeds your remaining guarantee. This episode unlocks the next level of wealth building. You have the benefit to buy a home, and you have the strategy to buy a second, third, and fourth. The foundation is set. If you are currently on PCS orders to a Florida base and are worried about the entitlement clock, I have created a proprietary PCS to profit checklist that lays out the exact sequence of documents needed for your lender and your realtor. It eliminates the guesswork and cuts the restoration time to the absolute minimum. Thank you for tuning in to the Florida Veterans Real Estate Podcast. Remember, everything you want is on the other side of fear.